Just want to thank them again for everything that I was out there, and that's a very, very active neighborhood. And so although I was in District 4, but speaking to Mike. I'll speak to the mic. But and also, again, I just keep bringing up here, we still got a lot of interest, and you sort of brought up cottages in your neighborhoods as well. So all the neighborhood associations should be paying attention to the cottages that are coming to as a resource for us, that we're looking to try to figure out ways to help get them fixed up more and then attract more people. So it's been working with this group as well too. We're getting farther along with the coffee table book, but there's already some good self-guided driving and walking tours. So this is out and around here. So many people, if you have some extra ones and people come by, and get them to go take a look, maybe pick some up. Thanks.
Commissioner Bristol.
I just wanted to comment, last weekend was Halloween, and I wanted to thank our new events coordinator Dottie Carson and the NAPC for coming out and making it a huge success, and also the library. I participated with the library with the smaller children, and we had over 200 children come through for different things we were making there, and scary storybook time at the library. So that was great. And then remind everybody, this weekend is Veterans Day Parade. Also Saturday and Sunday in the plaza is the Art League's art show, and Saturday is second Saturday sidewalk sales. So there's going to be a lot going on this weekend downtown. So get out, whether it be.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I had an opportunity earlier this week to attend Mayor Priscilla Taylor's call to action meeting that speaks to the issues faced in our minority communities, especially among our young, I guess they refer to as men of color, the African Americans and Hispanics. There were several great panelists headed by Alcee Hastings, and they were the commission chamber was full. Okay, it was a very well attended event. It was more of a round table discussion and the beginning of hopefully an ongoing collaborative effort between the private sector, government officials, and just everybody in general to see what we can do, if anything, in some of our minority communities, particularly as it pertains to mentoring programs. Okay, that was one of the things. They brought in some students from one of the alternative schools, and almost to a person, each of those young men and women spoke to the issue of not having somebody in their life that they could, emulate, somebody that they could look up to as a role model. And it's something I know that we've maybe touched on very, very lightly over the last few years, but I really think it's time that maybe we start looking at formally adopting some sort of a mentoring program here in the city, with maybe starting with our elected officials, and maybe, if possible, working it down through some of our departments or whatever. But I think it's really important that we start reaching out and identifying some of our youth and learning whether or not they could use, a role model in their life, and perhaps we could avail ourselves to be that role model if possible. So I intend to sit down. I was very, in many ways impressed with the meeting. The meeting lasted 3 hours. I was very, in many ways, impressed. But the one thing that I walked away from that really struck out in my head is, at the end of the day, the big question that Alcee Hastings said, that a white man walked up to me and said, "Well, tell me, what do your people want?" And he looked at that person and said, "All the things that you want, just put them on a piece of paper and then sign my name to it." And and he's absolutely, I don't know that I particularly appreciate his delivery, but he was absolutely correct. And I've been talking about this forever. At the end of the day, here in our community, every one of our residents, no matter whether they live in South Palm Park, or they live in the Osborne community, or College Park, we all want the same thing. At the end of the day, we want clean, safe neighborhoods for our kids to grow up and our families to live in. So, I'd really like to challenge the 5 of us, maybe to step up to the plate, and I'm going to meet with Priscilla Taylor, Mayor Taylor, on a more detailed basis and find out how we can get more actively involved in this mentoring program. But I think it would be a very good use of our time if we could carve a couple hours a week out for some deserving young person. And there was one man that did stand up and speak to one of the youths that spoke and said, I will take you on, I will mentor you if you want to be mentored, but he said something that I thought was very interesting, that through the years I've never really heard anybody throw out there in terms of a relationship of mentoring a young person. He said, if you want to be mentored, I'll help you. He says, but you've got to have an open mind. It's a two-way street. And I've never really heard anybody put it that way. It's always been like, well, I'll come and, we'll talk for a couple hours a week, you can call me on the phone, this type of thing. But there has to be an exchange of ideas. This young person has to open up their minds to more traditional ways of looking at things, and the mentor has to open up their mind to some of the ways the youth look at things. So I thought it was pretty interesting. So there's the challenge. I put it on the table. I'll follow up with Mayor Priscilla Taylor, and if y'all are interested, just let me know, and we'll see what we can do.
Definitely. Well, along those lines, we're resuming our education council. We've put together an organization of principals and leaders at all of our area local schools, and we started this last year. We're going to attack it a little bit more strong, because we know there had never been, until last year, there had never been any representation or connection between the city and our schools. There was no, and yes, I know that the Palm Beach County School Board handles that, but we know that education of our children in our community is the most important thing in the world to our future. And we know that, there's never been that connection, sort of like we lost sight of the whole thing. These are our kids, they're in our schools, so we're kind of putting our heads together at all levels of education, and really sitting down to talk about the challenges that we face and what we can do as a community to aid the school board on behalf of our schools here in the city of Lake Worth. What can we do? How can we stand up for them, and how can we make things better? So that's going to resume, and hopefully I'll have some good reports when we get everybody's schedules together and get them all there, because we want to have the most attendance that we possibly can. I want to thank everyone again, Literacy Coalition, the read that we did, for the record, over 800 kids were read to. Can you believe? From all over the city. We set a record. I think last year we did 280 or 300, so we got over 800 kids. So thank you to staff and everybody. We set our own personal record. I don't know if that's enough to tip us over the scales in the county, but it was a great show. I want to actually invite my fellow commissioners. I'm also working in reference to education. My mind is there right now. Working on programs for the schools where they can come into City Hall and see what it's like to be a part of here, what happens on the dais, how our meetings run, what types of issues are being addressed. And they're looking at doing it from the young ones, where we have some sort of interactive, do this as a special.
We had one last.
Yeah, but do one for the young kids and then do one for the older students, where we talk more about government. We're trying to include it in their curriculums, and we had a number of conversations about it on what local government does, especially on the older ones. So that's going to be a new program that we're starting. And then Thursday is the Sister Cities meeting that we have with West Palm Beach and Riviera Beach and Lake Park, Mangonia Park. Am I missing? We've invited Palm Beach to this one? Okay. And then even Lantana, as we talked about. But we're all getting together to talk about this type of Sister Cities meeting is to talk about the challenges that we all face together. And since we've gotten together and started this in the last year or so, it's sort of, we felt like we were all of our cities were this island, and we all had this problem, and we all addressed it, and we hired consultants to do things in this city, and hired another set of consultants at that city, and did a lot of the same challenge. We're facing the same challenges. Why should we be, especially times are tough, finances are tough, why should we all be spending these different independent funds when a lot of the same work is needed in similar corridors in our sister cities? So we're kind of putting all of that work together, and I'm proud to say that the ordinances that we created, the over 40 ordinances that we created for abandoned and blighted homes and things like that, they have come in and said, hey, we'd like to use your models, and we'd like to see how you did that. And our staff is getting together with their staff, and I think inevitably we'll save a lot of time and money, and also have that sense of camaraderie as we battle some of the same types of issues that we all battle together. And sorry, I know I said I went out of town for vacation. I came back and I've been battling 2 flus. So anyone who's on my Facebook site, I promise I'll be back up to speed here in a couple of days. But 2 flus at the same time was not very fun. But I'm back in the saddle, and thank you all for your kind wishes. All right. Approval of the minutes, so entertain